Hey y'all, welcome to this week's What's for Dinner. I do these videos every Friday at 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. And today's video is going to be a collab video with my friend Sammi. She has a channel called Managing the Maze, and she does grocery hauls, cleaning videos, and she does What's for Dinners. So this week we are collabing, and both of us are going to be sharing what we made this past week. So when you're done watching my video, please go over and check her out. She is a mom and she has 2 boys and
9. That's a big number. 9.
She doesn't have 9 boys. My son thinks 2 boys. Did I say 9?
You said 2, but I said 9.
Oh, okay. Anyways, she has 2 boys, and anyways, she's a sweetheart, and I think y'all are gonna really enjoy her content.
I thought I was a sweetheart.
You are too.
No.
Anyways,
Doodaloo.
I think y'all are gonna enjoy her content. So go over and check her out when you're done. Give her a thumbs up and subscribe. I think you're gonna really enjoy it, and let her know that I sent you. So anyways, without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey y'all, welcome to tonight's What's for Dinner. Tonight I'm going to make a recipe called Marry Me Chicken. I'm going to start out, I have my cast iron skillet, and I'm going to, I should have already turned this on. I'm going to turn that on. I have it about medium high, and I'm going to add about a tablespoon, that's probably about a tablespoon of oil, olive oil, and we're going to warm that up, and then we're going to add in our chicken breast. The recipe I have calls for 3 large chicken breasts, but what I did is I had 2 large chicken breasts and I cut those in half. So now I have 4, which is what I need because tonight there'll be 4 of us eating. And so we're going to heat this up and then I'll be right back. Y'all, I thought I was recording. Okay, got my skillet heated up. I added my chicken breasts and I had seasoned them on one side with salt and pepper. I came back and I used my pink Himalayan salt inside of the grinder on there, along with my Kitchen Mama grinder with peppercorn. So we have some fresh black pepper. And now we're going to brown these on each side for about, or cook them for about 5 minutes on each side. And then we'll come back, we'll flip them, and then we're going to remove them from the heat, and we're going to make a sauce that we're going to put them back in, and then we're going to bake them in the oven. I have the oven, I don't know if I told y'all, I can't remember, but I have the oven preheated to 375. So that's what we're doing right now. Okay, y'all, it's kind of loud in here, but I'm going to go ahead, I think now, and these are just about, I think, pretty well brown. I'm going to let them brown just a little bit more, and then I'm going to remove those onto a plate, and I'll come back and we'll start our sauce. Now I'm going to add in 2 cloves of garlic, which about a teaspoon of minced garlic will be about that. And we're going to let this, we're going to just kind of stir this in the oil and with the rest of the bits that are in here for about a minute. And I have this less than, I have it on, not medium, I'd say medium low. I really hope soon I can get a new stove because these burners are like uneven. Oops, I'm throwing stuff out. It's hard to regulate. So, let that cook for about a minute. Okay. Now I'm going to add in, it calls for 3/4 of a cup of chicken broth, which I didn't have any chicken broth, so I just did my own using this chicken flavor bouillon here. And I have 3/4 a cup of water. Put that in. We're also going to add in some of our seasonings, which I have a teaspoon of thyme, a teaspoon of red pepper flakes here. And I'm just going to go ahead and pour those in. And we're also going to add in a ½ cup of heavy cream. And we're going to let this cook for about 5 minutes. And we're going to stir this basically the whole time, constantly be stirring this. So that's what I'm going to do now. And I still have this on about medium low. Okay, y'all, I have been sitting here stirring this for about 5 minutes. And now we're gonna add in, I have these, I don't know if y'all can see that very good. This is sun-dried tomatoes that I have chopped up. I have about, it's around a half a cup. After I chopped them up, they're a little bit less. I'm gonna add that in. I also wanna add in a half a cup of Parmesan cheese. It's grated. Well, I have the shredded Parmesan cheese, so we want a half a cup of that. So I'm going to get that really quickly and put in there. I got this at Aldi's. I couldn't decide what to make, and I was at the dentist or the orthodontist with my son looking at Pinterest, and I came across this, and I didn't want to go back into Walmart because I had already been in there once. So I ended up running into Aldi's, and that's where I got this. And I have never even used sun-dried tomatoes, so it smells really good, y'all. So, and these sun-dried tomatoes, I chopped them up. I probably should have chopped them up a little finer, but this is what happened. I'm gonna remove this from the heat. Let me get my pot holder. I'm gonna remove this over here, and I'll move y'all too. This smells so good. Very good, y'all. So now what we're gonna do is we're gonna put our chicken back in here, and didn't realize there was some liquid on this plate. Okay. And now we're going to want to spoon some of this sauce. It's cheesy. I'm going to spoon some sauce over the chicken. Oh, it smells so good, y'all. And I'm actually going to peel some potatoes, and we're going to have some mashed potatoes with this. And I think I'm going to do some green beans and maybe some like rolls. I don't know. I'm going to look and see, but I do know I'm going to make potatoes. So now our oven is preheated to 375. We're going to place this in there and let it cook for about 15 minutes, and we'll check the chicken and see if it's done. If not, we'll let it cook longer. I'm going to quickly just mash my potatoes up. I've got about a half a stick of butter. I think that's all I'm going to put. I may put more. We'll see. I'm going to start mashing these up some. And I like to add sour cream to my potatoes, so we're going to do that. And I see a little bit of butter that's not melted, so I'm just going to kind of, oops. I just cleaned the counter, so everything's clean. Just try to get that butter to melt in there. Now I'm going to add, I don't know, about maybe like that. Stir that in. Okay, and then I also am going to add in some heavy whipping cream. And you'll see I have some chunks still in here, but that's okay, we don't mind. So I'm going to stir that up. Use my Kitchen Mama grinder, put some fresh black pepper in there. I love pepper and potatoes. With some salt. Oops. Stir that up. I need some, that salt just doesn't get, I don't know, it's a little bit different, so I'm going to add a little regular salt. A little bit more whipping cream, and then I think they'll be good. Potatoes are done. There is the chicken. Oh my word. It smells good, looks good. Forgot to tell y'all to sprinkle some of that Parmesan cheese on top. And it said fresh basil. I didn't have fresh, so I just sprinkled a little bit of that on. And yeah, and then over here, I've been having this is just canned green beans. I drained most of the water off. I added some bacon grease and some real bacon pieces, and I've just been letting it simmer. So we're gonna set the table and let you know what we think. Okay, looky there, we got everything on the table.
We got salt, pepper, and salt.
Okay, bub, what do you think of the food?
It'd be good with mac and cheese though.
He's upset I didn't make mac and cheese, but
This is something you'd make mac and cheese with.
well, I'll make mac and cheese another day this week. Sorry. Okay, Courtney, what do you think about it?
Yeah,
It's
what
really
you think?
juicy.
Well, yeah. You don't want it to be dry.
I could really like eat it.
She just woke up from being asleep. She don't know what she's doing.
And mashed potatoes are good. And I took the peppers off because it's too hot.
It's not peppers. They're like sun-dried tomatoes.
Oh, well, I took them off because I don't want.
It has a little bit of spice to it. I think it's from the red pepper flakes. I'm not sure if sun-dried tomatoes has anything like that.
Beans.
The green beans are good. Y'all, this is full of flavors. All right, Adrian, what do you think of the food?
Really good.
It's got a lot of flavors going on. That's what I can say. And Adrian doesn't really like the green beans, but I gave him a few. But he loves mashed potatoes. And I thought the chicken was really good. I think my husband would like this. So I'm probably going to have to make it again whenever he's home. And I'll make mac and cheese with it.
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. Thank y'all. See you in a second. Hey y'all, welcome to tonight's What's for Dinner. I'm going to be making a Mexican tater tot casserole. So I'm about to turn you around and show you the pot. Or the pan. Yeah, the pan. But I just thought I'd show my face because sometimes I don't. But anyways, hey y'all, I'm fixing to flip around and show y'all what we're going to do. I have a pound of ground beef and I have about probably half of an onion that I diced up. And we're going to brown this meat. Excuse me, we're going to brown this meat real quick. And I'm going to go ahead and season it with some of my pepper. And y'all know I'm loving this Kitchen Mama pepper meal. And I'll try to remember to link it down below if y'all are interested because this thing works so good. And you can also do it with salt, but I'm just doing it with pepper. And then I'm going to sprinkle some just regular salt on my meat. I was using the pink Himalayan salt because my husband bought it when we were out on our little our little anniversary vacation thing. And it is good, but it doesn't give as much flavor, in my opinion, as regular salt. So I'm just going to use regular salt. But what we're going to do now is we're going to brown this meat, and then we're going to come back and season it up with some taco seasoning and some other stuff. Oh, but by the way, I have my oven preheating to 375. Ugh, I hate when this happens. Okay, I thought I was recording. I cooked the meat and I drained off what little bit of grease there was. I added in 1 tablespoon of this Fiesta brand taco seasoning. Actually, I put a little over a tablespoon. It calls for a package of taco seasoning mix, but I just used that. And then also I added in 1 can of black beans that were rinsed off and drained. And then it called for frozen corn, but I didn't have frozen corn, so I just took a can of corn and I drained all the water off of it and added it in. It called for a 4-ounce can of diced green chilies and then a can of red enchilada sauce. So I have all of that in here. And we're going to heat this up over medium heat. It says to let it cook for about 8 to 10 minutes. And once it's cooked for about 8 to 10 minutes, we're going to add in 2 cups of shredded cheese. And then we're going to put it in the baking dish and go on to the next part. So I'm just going to let this kind of warm through on medium, or heat up on medium heat. And then I will come back. Sorry y'all, I hate when I do that. I turn the camera on, but I forget to hit record, so I'm so sorry. But anyways, we'll let this warm up for about 8 minutes. This has been cooking for about 8 minutes or so. Now we're going to add in 2 cups of shredded, the Mexican shredded style cheese or whatever kind of cheese you want, I guess. So we're adding about 2 cups of that. Then we're going to reserve 1 cup to put on at the end. So we're gonna mix this all together, and then we're gonna head over to our casserole dish and put this in. Now I'm gonna take y'all over to the island. Okay, I have a 9 by 13 inch baking dish. I'm gonna spray some like non-stick cooking spray. I'm almost out of. And now we're gonna bring our casserole and we're just gonna pour that in, or our casserole. We're gonna bring our meat mixture to the casserole dish and pour that in. We're gonna spread this out. And y'all, I looked in my freezer before I went to pick my kids up and I was like, ooh, I got tater tots. I don't know what I was seeing, y'all. There was a bag of French fries, crinkle cut French fries, and a bag of Southern style hash browns. And I just noticed that now, like a couple minutes ago when I went to get it out of the freezer. There was no tater tots. So there was no time to run to town or anything because we live out in the country. So we're going to use these Southern style hash browns and layer them on top because the recipe calls for 4 cups of frozen tater tots, which would be basically 32 ounces, right? 8 times 4, yeah. So this is a 32 ounce bag. So I'm going to sprinkle these over the top and hope that it turns out good. So we're gonna do the best I can. Some of these are dark, I don't want them in there. Okay, so we're gonna spread this out as evenly as I can. And there's some big pieces, so I'm gonna try to break these up a little bit. I banged the bag on the counter, but I may not have done it enough. So now what we're going to do is we're going to place this in the oven. Originally it's supposed to cook for 35 to 40 minutes, but I'm going to check it at like 30 minutes and see how it is and kind of go from there. What you're supposed to do is cook it for 35 to 40 minutes and then you're supposed to remove it, add the remainder of the cheese, and let it cook for about 5 more minutes. And if you have cilantro, it says to garnish with cilantro, which I didn't, and you can also serve it with sour cream. So we're gonna do that. I'm also gonna make some macaroni and cheese on the side because Bryce has really been wanting mac and cheese, so it's just the Kraft from a box. So we'll put that in there and get it started. Okay, y'all, I ended up having to cook these for probably another 10 minutes because they just weren't getting done. And I tasted them now and they just have no flavor, so I'm gonna put some salt. I'm gonna try this Himalayan pink salt again. I'm gonna put some pepper on it. Now we're going to take the rest of this cheese, sprinkle it over the top, and then we're going to put it back in for about 5 minutes. And in the meantime, I'll be making my mac and cheese. I couldn't think of what I was trying to say. So I'm going to put this back in for about 5 minutes. Okay, y'all, look at that. It may not be tater tots, but it actually looks really good. So I'm about to have the macaroni and cheese done. Then we're going to sit down and eat. I've got some sour cream and I may get some hot sauce out. We will see how it tastes. Hey Adrian, how is it?
Good.
You finished your plate. Good job, baby. All right, Bryce, what do you think about it?
It's good.
Really? And you're usually not into Mexican stuff.
I mean, like, especially potatoes and beans.
Yeah. Some of the potatoes were not completely done, unfortunately.
just
They were almost done. There was just a few. What about you, Courtney? You actually like it, even though there's corn in it? You're eating it?
Yeah.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty good. So, I mean, I don't know if that's correct. If I would have had the tater tots, I think it would be even better. But hey, it was pretty good.
It tastes perfectly fine.
Yeah, and the flavors are good. Hey y'all, welcome to tonight's What's for Dinner. For me, it's actually morning. It's not as early morning as I'd like it to be, but it's 10:30 in the morning. I've got a pound of pinto beans, and I actually let them soak overnight. So I just rinsed them, and I've got them in here. And these are going to be so simple. Growing up, probably once a week, we would have pinto beans with cornbread, and that was probably one of my most favorite meals to have as a child, and I still love it. It's so comforting to me. I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to season my beans. I'm going to put about 1.5 teaspoons of salt, and I'm keeping these very simple today. And then I'm going to add about 1/2 teaspoon of pepper, and then, okay y'all, my battery died. Luckily I always have one charged over here. I have some bacon grease. I'm going to add a good tablespoon, heaping tablespoon of that. Let me get something to get this out. Now my mama and my daddy always would use like salt meat, salt pork. I don't have any of that. I do like to use that because, not necessarily that I didn't never really like to eat the meat part of it. I think my dad always did, but it would give it a really good flavor. And these are very just simple, I guess you could say southern pinto beans. I'm going to put about 6 cups of water. Got 4 here. Let me get some more. Just going to kind of stir all that up. And one thing about beans, you always want it to have enough salt. So I'm hoping with the 1.5 teaspoons of salt, along with this bacon grease, there'll be plenty of salt. And I'm going to cover these up, and I'm actually going to turn them on high because I'm worried if I cook them on low now that they'll be ready too late. I should have put them on earlier. So I'm going to go ahead and turn mine on high and let them cook for about 5 hours or so. Which means, let's see, probably by the time I get home from picking my kids up from school, they should be done. And then I'll just let them stay on keep warm, which should help kind of thicken the juice a little. You want some juice because I am going to make, I'm going to flip y'all around. Because I am going to go ahead and make some cornbread, and I'm going to make it in my cast iron skillet. Had several people say cornbread in the cast iron skillet is the way to go. And another thing I'm going to make to go along with this is I'm going to make salmon patties. My mama always made mackerel cake, and I'm not sure if it's because mackerel was cheaper or if she just liked mackerel. I kind of think she just liked the taste of mackerel. But today I want to try something different. So when I go to town in a little bit, excuse me, I'm going to pick up a can or 2 of mackerel, and I'm going to make some mackerel cakes. So that will be next in this video, which will be a few hours ahead, but for me, but that'll be the next thing. And then I'll probably just make mac and cheese because that's just something that is comforting and something we always had with beans. Another thing that my parents would make was like fried cabbage. And back then I wasn't really into it. And I don't know if my kids will be into it, so I'm not gonna make that. So we'll have these beans. I'll show you how I make my cornbread, and I'll show you how we make the salmon patties a little bit later for me. Just a second for y'all. See you in a second. The beans, I checked them a little bit ago and they were ready. I added a little more salt, and now I've had them on keep warm. So I just wanted to show y'all because I forgot earlier. But I'm about to make cornbread. Okay, y'all, we're gonna make cornbread now. This is a cornbread recipe I always make, but I'm gonna make it in my cast iron skillet. This skillet is actually a lot bigger than the pan I normally use, so this will probably be a thinner cornbread and I'll cook it less time. But I have my oven preheating to about 425, and I have 1/2 stick of butter in here. I'm gonna stick this in the oven and let it be heating up while we mix up the rest of the cornbread batter. Okay, we're gonna start out with 1 cup of flour, and I have a little 1/2 cup measuring cup in my flour. So that's why I'm doing this twice, because it's only 1/2 cup. So. And then we want to put 1 cup of cornmeal. And I just use just yellow cornmeal. So I'm going to get that. And I believe it's like the Quaker brand maybe, because I took it out and I put it in a little container now. So 1 cup of that. And then we're gonna want 1/4 cup of sugar. We're gonna put in 1/4 cup of sugar. And we need a teaspoon of salt. And this is the cornbread that I make every time I make cornbread, just unless I'm in a pinch and I just decide to make a different kind. But anyways. And then we're also gonna need 4 teaspoons of baking powder. I have stuff out for this recipe and for the next thing I'm about to make. So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so I got all of our dry ingredients. And I'm just gonna go ahead and just kind of whisk these, mix them all together. Now we're gonna add in 1 cup of milk, and then we're gonna add in 2 eggs. Now the next thing I'm gonna do is we're going to take that pan out of the oven with the melted butter, and I'm gonna pour the remainder of that butter in here. So I'm gonna check on that, see if it's melted good, and I'll be right back. Okay, y'all, I'm gonna get this out of the oven, and I know it's gonna be pretty hot, so. And I want to just kind of, I hope y'all can see this because I can't really, I should have had my viewfinder up. Anyways, what I'm doing, as you can see, is kind of rolling it around, and then we're gonna pour the rest just right in here. And then I'm gonna set this down here, and I'm gonna finish mixing up the cornbread, the remainder of that butter in there. And now I'm gonna come over here and pour it into this pan. Like I said, I may have to do some adjustments in the future. I want to get a cast iron skillet a little bit smaller, I guess a 9 or a 10 inch. I believe this one is 12 or 13 inch. I can't remember now. But anyways, that way I can use it for stuff like cornbread. But for now, it's a thinner layer. So I'm not going to cook this as long as I normally would. Normally I would cook it about 20 minutes or so. I'm gonna check this probably in about 10 and then 15 minutes and just kind of see, because I don't want it to burn. So we're gonna put that in and get it ready. Okay, y'all, I cooked it for about 15 minutes. Normally I would do 20 minutes. I went ahead and just poked it just to make sure, and it's done. Smells amazing. Now we're gonna make salmon patties. This part might be nasty. Okay, for some reason I opened my can upside down. I have a can of the Chicken of the Sea pink salmon. It's 14.75 ounces. And I will not, because this may gross some people out, but if you've never worked with like canned fish or salmon or whatever, you're gonna want to remove the bones, and I always remove the skin because I don't like it, and it is kind of nasty, this part. So I'm gonna go ahead and prep this, get all the bones and things out of here, and then I will come back with nice and clean fish. But I just wanted to show y'all that real quick. Okay, y'all, I cleaned it all up, and now I'm just gonna kind of flake it up with my fork. And like I said, I took all the skin and I got the bones out. The bones are so tiny that if for some reason you forget and leave one in, I don't even think anybody will notice it, because they just break, like you can break them with your finger. Because I tried to get all of them out, but I may still have some in there, but I tried. So you just basically want to flake it up into pieces best you can. And then I'm gonna take some saltine crackers I have in a bag over here. And I probably will need more, but I put some in here, and I'm gonna crush those up very finely because I'm gonna need about a 1/2 cup of those. So that's what I'm gonna do after I get this flaked up real good. And in case you wanna know how I do it, I just get a rolling pin and I just go over it because you want it really finely. And I'm gonna measure it. I have a measuring cup here. Let me see how much I have now. I have very close. I'm gonna go ahead and do a few more. I'm just gonna finish that off okay, I have a bowl here that we're gonna start getting everything ready in. We need 2 eggs. I'm just gonna kind of beat those for just a second. And then we're gonna add in some milk and we're gonna mix that together. And then we'll add the salmon in. And we want 1/4 cup of milk. And I think I said it earlier in the video, but I grew up with my mama. She always made mackerel cakes. And I really don't know, maybe if my brother or my sister is watching, they can tell me. I don't know if mom made the mackerel cakes because it was cheaper than salmon, or it might have just been because she liked mackerel cakes better. And y'all, I just realized I knocked over my crackers. Hold on. Okay, y'all. Sorry about that. Okay. I had looked over and my cracker crumbs had spilled, so luckily I was able to get them all back in. Okay, so now y'all, I'm going to add in the salmon that is all, you know, flaked up and everything. And for some reason today, I'm just being messy. I'm dropping stuff everywhere. And next we're gonna add in some salt and pepper. And if I go according to this recipe I found, it said about a quarter teaspoon of salt. And then 1/8 of a teaspoon of pepper. Look at me being all good and following instructions. And then my addition is gonna be some onion, which I'm just gonna kind of add in. Because my mama always cut up onion in hers, but I'm not gonna do it this time, so I hope that's good. And then I'm gonna also put some garlic because I just love garlic. And then we're gonna add in our cracker crumbs, which I have a half of a cup of cracker crumbs, just saltine crackers. And you can use, I guess, any kind of cracker that you like. And we're gonna mix all that up together. And if this is a little bit too moist, I can add in some more cracker crumbs. So I'm just gonna kind of mix this. And then in a minute, we'll make the patties. Ignore all my mess. And I'm gonna see if this feels like I need to add any more or if they're gonna hold up. I think they'll be good. And according to this recipe, well, let's see. It should make 6 patties. You know what? I'm gonna add a little bit more crackers. Okay, y'all, got my patties made. And then, I'll take you over here. I ended up taking my cornbread out. Y'all, look at it, it looks so good. I'm gonna bring it over here out of the way. And we're going to use the cast iron skillet to fry these in. So, sorry y'all. We're gonna put a couple tablespoons of vegetable oil with some butter. I'm gonna put like 3 tablespoons of butter and 3 tablespoons of vegetable oil. And we're gonna turn this on about medium heat and let that melt together. Okay, y'all, I've got it heated up. So now I'm gonna carefully try to put these in because I'm so worried, even after I added, that they're gonna fall apart, but hopefully not. Bad companies don't ask us to review stoves. I could really use one. Okay, we're gonna let these cook for a few minutes or however long, get them brown, and then I'm gonna flip them. I also have a pot of water back in the corner because I'm making some of the Annie's mac and cheese my kids requested. And yeah, so we're just gonna let these fry up. Okay, y'all, there are the mackerel cakes. They didn't cook very evenly, but I think they'll be okay, we'll see. There's that cornbread and the beans. All I'm waiting on now is the mac and cheese. So we're about to sit down and we will let you know what we think. Also, this right here, see if it'll focus. Cannot focus. This Marie Sharp's habanero pepper sauce is the bomb, y'all. It's the bomb. My brother-in-law gave it to us. I think you can order it on Amazon. I'm not sure if they sell it in the stores. But anyways, that's what I like with our beans. So, y'all, I almost forgot to get reactions. Okay, Bub.
Okay,
How was the food?
It's good. I want this last one. Is there two?
Yeah, there's two,
Oh,
so
yeah,
get you
okay.
one. So you like the salmon patties?
Yeah, I like the mackerel patties too.
Yeah.
Mackerel cakes when you made them.
And how you like the beans? My kids are strange. My husband taught them this. They put whipping cream, heavy whipping cream, in their beans.
And
Oh, yeah, I showed them
gotta wash
that.
my eyes.
Okay, Courtney, how did you like the salmon patties?
they're good.
Which do you like better, salmon or mackerel?
So you ate it, mackerel.
Really? Okay. And how were the beans?
Good.
And my kids are strange too. I got all this cornbread and nobody will eat it. Usually Adrian does, but he didn't want any today.
They're too big.
You could cut. I could have cut them in half. You just tell me. Okay. How he didn't really care for the mackerel cakes. He said, I mean not mackerel, the salmon patties. I mean they were okay, but he's not really. He didn't want them.
Catfish or crappie? Only fish I'll eat.
Yeah, my favorite fish probably to eat would be
Catfish.
catfish. Yes, y'all. I went back
Have you
for
even ate
more.
crappie before? Then how do you?
Yes, I did. And what's better than catfish or crappie is gator. Gator's the best.
When did you eat gator?
At Cameron's.
Oh, okay.
You weren't there. Oh yeah, you did shop on my.
Okay. Anyways, I went back and got more, y'all, and I like to dip my keep saying it, my salmon patties in ketchup. Very good. And these beans taste almost like my mom and daddy's.
mackerel cakes.
Anyways, because they're made from a different kind of fish. Mackerel and salmon, two different kinds of fish. All right. Thank y'all so much for watching. See you next week.
Next week, indeed.
Yeah.